welcome back to the Rainbow mini-series, where today we are going to continue from our previous episode on Rainbow Toggle, and we're going to learn how to group them together and ultimately bring some multi-selection capabilities to our apps. So let's get started. Go to the file that we were manipulating before in the previous episode, and let's just delete the code that we have, and we're going to start fresh and work our way backwards to get this component working by typing in RainbowToggleGroup and checking out the initializer and all the things that it requires to do its job. All right, so let's hit enter. We have a few parameters that we need to satisfy here. We're just going to go ahead and collapse these parameters so it's a little bit more readable. And we'll start with the first one, which is asking for a RainbowToggleGroup configuration. And that makes sense because we need to know how to configure this group. So we're going to say group configuration is equal to RainbowToggleGroup configuration, and that takes a few different parameters of its own, which is an orientation, some spacing, and the toggles configuration itself, not the toggle groups configuration. All right, so let's go ahead and get oriented here, and we're going to make this a vertical group. We're going to add some spacing. We'll say 10 points between the items in the group, and we'll give it a toggle configuration using the static method that we learned about in the previous episode. And why don't we pass in danger today because we're feeling a little bit dangerous, and we'll pass the checkmark icon and go ahead and collapse these params one more time just so we can get some clarity in our code. Wonderful. So we've satisfied number one, which is basically the configuration for the toggle group. And now we're going to pass that in, our group configuration, and we're going to focus on these selected items, which needs to be a reactive set of items that conform to hashable and identifiable protocol. So let's go ahead and start with that. So we need to do at state private, can't type today, private var selected items, and this is going to be a set of items that don't yet exist. These items that we are going to create need to conform to those protocols, identifiable and hashable, and ultimately if we provide just a unique identifier, it can figure out how to hash into itself. So we'll just add var title string, and now we have a structure, we have selected items, and we are almost done satisfying the toggle group. So let's pass in that reactive selected set for our items that are going to be stored. Then we're going to pass it the items themselves that are going to be rendered. We don't have those yet. So let's go ahead and create a list of items, and that is simply going to be an array of items with some random titles. So we'll say like buy milk, even though you probably shouldn't be drinking milk. We'll say item title clean car, and most importantly, item title walk dog. And this is something I need to do right after this episode. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. We have a closure to render those items now. So we'll just tap enter, and then here we're going to type item in, and we will give it a text where we will pass the item title in, and ultimately we should have everything we need to satisfy our toggle group at this time. So we'll just do a high-level overview. We have an item, we have selected items, we have the actual items we're rendering, we have the group configuration, and we have the toggle group being initialized. So let's go ahead and build and run and just see what we get. What does Rainbow give us out the box? All right, so it's giving us this list or toggle group. You can see here we can toggle them on, toggle them off, but it's not looking exactly how we want. So why don't we make this a little bit cleaner, and we will say return in HStack, and we'll put a spacer on the leading side. We'll put our toggle group with a frame. We'll say a width of 200, and then we'll put a spacer on the trailing side, and We also want to jazz this up a little bit in the sense that we want to be able to print out those selected items once they've been selected, so we make sure that we can use them later on in our program. So why don't we implement a VStack, and we'll drop our HStack there, and then we will add a spacer, and then we will add a rainbow button for fun that we can use to just print out those values. So here we're going to say print selected items, and this is going to interpolate these selected items that are storing the items that are being selected, and then ultimately we'll just make it a simple button that says print items, print selected items. All right, that should be everything. We'll just close off the rainbow button there, and we'll give the rainbow button itself some padding, and let's go ahead and build and run, and let's see what we got. Okay, so we have our print selected items. Our list is way up here at the top, and that is because we have a spacer pushing up our HStack to the top of our VStack. So we'll just put another spacer there, and hopefully SwiftUI can figure out what to do and put our list in the middle, which it has. And we're going to open up the debug console. We're going to select an item and then print selected items, and you can see that we have buy milk here selected, and we will select clean car, and we'll print those two items you can see that we have now. And once we remove those, and we will just clear out the console and print them again, the selected items array is empty. Awesome, this was a really fun episode. I'm really excited to see you in the next one, where we're going to learn about Rainbow Switch. See you there.